This is the Voice of Morgantown show. Rush, I've seen some bad football over the years. This may be rock bottom for the West Virginia Mountaineers. This may be as bad as I've ever seen. Your thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, it's really tough right now. And I mean, I'll be honest, I'll say broadcasting of the team over these past couple of years, I've never experienced anything like this. I guess the Josh Eilert year would be as close as I could get, but I mean, that was basketball and that was expected. I know a lot of folks are saying right now that we should have kept Neil Brown. It would have been a better year. And I agree with that, actually. I think Neil Brown would have been better this year. The problem with Neil Brown is we would have just gone 5-7 to 7-5. It would have been the same old, same old. And to move forward, we do have to rip the Band-Aid off, and things do have to get bad. The whole darkest before the dawn thing, applies here. But, it's just going to suck for a bit. And we just hope all the money that we save, that we apply into next year, goes towards decent players, guys that can compete and can play, because this is really bad. And we don't have great players on this team, and Rich Rod is to blame for some things going on, but we're just getting blown out of the football field. Like, we don't even have a chance to compete here. It's really ugly. I hope it gets better, but obviously our mind shift now shifts to next year and see if anyone at all on this team can play and it's worth keeping for next year. But as of right now, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, we came in as 7.5-point underdogs. We ended up losing 45-13. Rush, my concern is we don't really have anyone that I feel confident about right now on this team. We don't have a starting quarterback. We really, I was high on Sincere Bowers. I'm not that high on Sincere Bowers right now. I don't see anybody. We don't have a playmaker. We don't have any wide receivers that I feel good about. We don't have an offensive line. I felt terrible about the defense today. I didn't see anything, man, that I feel good about. It almost feels like we need another clean slate in 2026.
Yeah, and we're going to get it. I mean, a little bit of devil's advocate here. Obviously, we are down some guys because of injury. So that's when we started kind of getting into these more reserve type players. But that just drop from the Nico and Jaheim White type of players. And I mean, it's not like we had a ton of them, but the few that we have, it was just a big drop off from first string to second, third, fourth string. It's not even close. And that's what it is. We just don't, this isn't a power 14. I think this team would have trouble competing in the Mountain West. And I mean, we saw what we did against a MAC team this year. So yeah, it's time to clean slate. This whole getting used to 70, 80, 90 new players. I mean, it's just going to be around to stay here for years to come, especially next year. But it's just, I don't see us winning another game this season. Maybe we surprise some folks here, but I think the plan is just, it's time to regroup to 2026 and pray basketball season isn't as bad.
We have a lot of great comments here, man. I'm going to let some people vent. Over on YouTube, Mountaineer Athlete said, Brutal Brothers need to get a real quarterback coach in. Dude, I agree. I mean, we have Rhett Rodriguez as our current quarterback coach. Of course, we have Pat White, who is also helping out. But again, that's not a real quarterback coach. He doesn't have a ton of experience. I don't love the offensive line coach. I feel like we have to make a lot of adjustments there as well. I'm going to let you respond to that in 1 second, Rush. Coach's son, nepotism, baby. Yeah, he's talking about Rhett Rodriguez. Need to drop big money on a quarterback and OL and wide receivers and running back and defense and everything. No one on the roster right now is the answer. Rush, I tend to agree with him. What do you think?
Well, I agree in the sense when you have no one on the roster, there's just no answer. I mean, you can be the greatest coach in the world, but with a roster like this, I mean, you're just not getting anything out of that. You're trying to get water out of rocks, or however the saying goes. I mean, it's just all around a disaster. I mean, there's just nothing there's no really positive areas that you can take out and be like, all right, let's build off of that, or let's get something out of that. Maybe in a game or something, you get a flash of a play, but obviously there's no momentum to be built around it. I mean, we got our kicker that can't even make a college extra point. I mean, that sums up the season right there. I think going into next year, no matter players, coaching staff, whatever it may be, besides Rich Rodriguez, because obviously he's locked into a contract and you're not going to be able to buy that out. No one is safe. You kind of have to just start fresh all around the board. And Rich Rod probably just brought in some guys he was familiar with. He just knew this season was what it was going to be and just try to get his bearings around him. But yes, it's an overall disaster this year.
Sergeant D1 3B over on YouTube said, we just have no playmaker. I mean, it's frightening how we have nobody that we can trust right now with the ball in their hands. I guess Rodney Gallagher a little bit, but is there anybody else right now that we think, well, we got to get the ball to so-and-so? There's really nobody right now on our roster that I feel like we can depend on.
I will say I do like Cam Vaughn, but the problem is you got to get him the ball, and
Sure.
you don't have an offensive line you can trust. You don't have a quarterback that can get it to him. And I mean, making the assumption too, he can get enough separation to get open as well. Playmakers, no, but that's the thing about football. It's like you can be the greatest quarterback in the world, and if you don't have a line, running backs, or receivers, you're in for a rough day. I mean, it's just such a team sport. You got to have at least guys that are somewhat decent and can alleviate some of the pressure for that playmaker to break out. And there's just none of that. You could have, the best player in the world right now. But he's just not going to get any support to make the plays he's needed. And it's rough out there. It's awful.
Curtis D 316 on YouTube says WVU was never this bad under Neil Brown. They should have never brought Rich Rod back in. He is in over his head. I'm a big Rich Rod guy, and I still believe that he is going to turn this around. I know a lot of people are saying things like, hey, we should have never fired Neil Brown. I can't believe people are actually saying that, Rush. But, that's what we're hearing right now. Were we ever this bad under Neil Brown? Not that I remember, honestly, but I do think that Rich Rod will turn this around next year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like I said earlier in the show, I mean, maybe we were never this bad under Neil Brown, but I mean, we had one season where we got 8 wins, 9, I guess, without a Drake May at quarterback for UNC because we played all their third strings. But you're not going to, I mean, that's the ceiling. I mean, Rich Rod at least has a higher ceiling, but obviously a lower floor. It's just, we knew what we were getting with Neil Brown and just with the college football playoff now and needing to stay relevant, he wasn't going to do that for us. So yeah, would have been this bad this season? No, probably not, but it's not like it would have been great either. We'd be on this show right now talking about, oh, Neil Brown's 500, what's going to happen next? I mean, it got tiring. So you had to at least make a change. So it's going to hurt for a bit.
Yeah, a couple of people are saying he came into a horrible situation. They're talking about Rich Rodriguez. At least he was smart enough to save some money for next year. Yeah, I think it is interesting that, they didn't spend that $5 million. We do have quite a bit more revenue coming in next year. And so I think Rich Rodriguez gets his guys and we turn it around. But, man, what a frustrating season this is this year.
Yeah, painful. Hopefully some of that $5 million or whatever an additional money boosters didn't spend, it's maybe being invested so they're able to make money off the money too. So
Tyler Brown. Yep, Tyler Brown's over on YouTube says still no sign of Max Brown. It is interesting, man, that Max Brown is still not getting any time. If I were Rich Rod and I've seen that Khalil Wilkins and Scotty Fox are not going to get the job done, which I think at this point that's pretty clear, why not give Max Brown an opportunity to finish out the season and at least give us a chance to get some wins? I don't really understand why Max Brown hasn't played. Do you, Rush?
My only thing is, I guess we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And either I think he was injured for a bit, but then who knows if him and I mean, here's all I can say. And I'm all for just playing anyone at this point. Like there's nothing that can be really gained at this point. But if Wilkins and Fox are having this trouble with their outings and Rich Rod won't even play Brown, what does that say about Brown? So that's the only thing I can put together from all of this. So I don't know. It's weird. Yeah.
So Rush, can West Virginia win with Wilkins or Fox at this point next year? Do we absolutely need to go in and get another quarterback in 2026? Or is there any chance that Wilkins or Fox are our guy next year going into the season?
No, they're not going to be our guys next year. I think the best situation that you get from one of those two, if Rich Rod sees that he can build off of one of them and that they're just young guys, that keeps them around as a second or third string next year, bring in a guy that you pay for pretty nicely and can compete, and they stay behind them and still learn and grow. So that's the only way that I guess you get a win out of this, but they're not going to win now. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised even for both of them if they need kind of a clean clean start and go in the portal. It's got, if they win with those guys, we're talking 3-4 years from now.
Yeah. So we know that there was 81 new players, Rush, and that, there was, a lot of turnover. This is his first year. My question, though, Rush, is where is this hard edge? We heard that Rich Rod, he's going to bring this attitude to the team. I don't see any hard edge right now. I don't see anything that resembles hard edge. Is it just because we're getting beat up so bad that we can't see it, or is there any hard edge at all?
So I will say, I think when you're just getting crushed, it is hard to just really zero in, and you just kind of, at some point, you're just like, oh man, it just hurts, right? But I will say, I mean, at the end of the game, when UCF was driving at times, you had a couple of those guys out there that we really haven't seen a lot this year. Still trying to make tackles, even though they scored a touchdown on the play, couple of those goal to go situations, you had linebackers collapsing there, tackling either the quarterback or running backs for loss. So yeah, you're not seeing that hard edge that's going to win you games, but you do see guys trying to compete out there for playing time and wanting to stick around for next year. I think that's the type of hard edge you're gonna see this year. But I mean, other than that, you're just, like I said, the focus has shifted.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that they do see that hard edge. Let me pull this up real quick. Okay, Mountaineer athletes over on YouTube said, I see hard edge. The guys are just completely devastated. Yeah. We don't have the talent. I think that's fair. I don't know, man. I guess I don't know what I expect when we say hard edge, but to me, it just seems like we're getting pushed around. I don't feel like our guys are big and strong like I was hoping. It just seems like the fact that we got ran off the field by UCF is embarrassing.
Yeah, I think when we think hard edge, we're at least thinking we're in every game and going to have a chance to win every game and compete. Obviously, that's not the case. So it's downgraded to what I just said. It's just guys that may not have talent, but they're out there still giving it all, not, no heads down, still sprinting on every play, giving it all they have. I mean, it's just the point we've come to in the season.
Yep. So the other thing I was thinking about during this game is I think this is officially rock bottom for the West Virginia football program. Is hitting rock bottom a good thing? For me, Rush, the change happens when you hit rock bottom, right? When you're not doing well and things are at the very worst possible, situation, the change happens. And so I'm thinking that maybe this will inspire some change. And I think it almost has to.
Yeah. So here's where it can be a positive thing is when you see this type of play out there and the caliber of athletes we do have, then you're going to get boosters to step, or at least you'd hope you get boosters to step up and be like, we can't watch this again. Just tell me how much money to write on this check. And here you go to get the players we need, not to see what we just saw this past year. I mean, on the other hand, where it's a little tough, right? And I mean, it ebbs and flows. That's a common thing. But the issue is, right, is we're a couple years away from some type of super league being created. And West Virginia wants to be on the side where they're going to get picked up for whatever that league looks like. And it's going to come down to talent, revenue, how's the team looked over the past couple of years and where are they going to look from here? And so we have to stay relevant. So in the past 20 years ago, okay, you have a year like this every so often, you get new recruits in, you go through that, but we're just in a win now era and you just have to. So yeah, you can have one of these with a new coach. You better not have another one.
I don't really want to dog him too much because Jamori Robinson was on our program and was an incredible young man, obviously went through a lot at the beginning of the season with his eligibility issues. But I think we have to point this out, and it's fair to point it out, is where in the hell is Jamori Robinson number 0 this year? I don't get it, man. He is absolutely invisible. The only time that I have really seen him this year is when he got beaten coverage earlier in the year. I mean, he is absolutely invisible, and we spent a lot of money on him. So I certainly don't think that we've gotten our return on investment with him.
No, I mean, that's going to happen too in this era. To give him a little bit of credit, like I said earlier, it's it's a football, right? It takes more than one guy to get the job done. So even if he was doing his thing out there's still a lot of issues that need to be addressed. And I agree with this statement, but it goes way beyond this. Like it's a lot deeper than this issue right now. But I agree. You're going to have that potential when a booster goes out, brings a guy in. They may not perform well. They may get hurt, and there goes your money.
Yeah. So I'm as big of a Rich Rod fan as anyone in the business. I've been, writing about wanting Rich Rodriguez to come back to Morgantown for the last 10 years, just about. And at this point, I do have to wonder, is Rich Rod still Rich Rod? Does he still have that ability to bring a conference championship or even a national championship to Morgantown? Right now, man, it's hard to see it because we're getting blown out of the water right now. So it is difficult to see that. I still think that we have that opportunity in coming years to turn this around. And I think Rich Rodriguez is the right guy, but I certainly understand people, starting to question that.
Look, I hope so. I really do. I want it for Rich. I want it for the state. I want it for the university. I think it can happen, but it's also one of those, I'll believe it when I see it. I really, the bottom of my heart, hope Rich Rod's best days aren't behind him. He's clearly still fiery and passionate out there, but you just worry about football coaches when they get up in years. Are their best days behind them? Because when it happens fast. And he has a tall task on hand. This isn't Jacksonville State. He's a head coach again at the Power 4 level. There are high expectations for him. And I mean, especially at West Virginia, where he didn't go out in the right way. I love Rich Rod. I love everything that he's done for our program, but I'll just leave it at I really hope so. I really, really hope so, Brad.
Yeah. Mountaineer Athletes has had some great comments here over on YouTube. He said Robinson, Henderson, he's talking about Jalen Henderson, and Max Brown have all been complete busts and a total waste of money. We have paid a lot of money for those three guys. Like Rush said earlier in the show, that's going to happen in the NIL era. Sometimes it's going to be we're going to get production from these guys, and sometimes it's going to seem like a complete waste of money. I think it's fair to say that those three guys have certainly been a bust. Jalen Henderson, he gave us some good rushes, but not the quarterback we were hoping for, especially with Nico being injured. Jamori Robinson has been. I hate to say this because he was on the show, great young man, but we have to say a bust at this point. And I don't know if it's Max Brown's fault or not because he hasn't really been given an opportunity to play yet.
Yeah, I see a comment there that says Max Brown hasn't been given a shot yet. And I'll just say to this, he hasn't been given a shot where we've seen it on TV yet. Every practice you get a shot. So I think there's something that's off there that goes on behind closed doors that we don't know about. Maybe we will see him. I mean, it can't get much worse than this. You might as well throw everyone out there, but something's weird there.
I just wonder if maybe, after, Nico Markiel and Jalen Henderson went down, Rich Rod started to think, hey, maybe I should look to the future and go and give Wilkins and Scotty Fox an opportunity. And then, Max Brown just got kind of pushed off to the back burner. I don't know if that's maybe what his thinking is, but to me, again, at this point, you got to give Max Brown an opportunity. Rich Rod was very complimentary of him too. That's the thing, Rush. He said that he was the best athlete of the five quarterbacks by far. He has SEC experience. I mean, wouldn't we be crazy not to play him at this point?
Sure. I mean, put anyone out there. I agree. I agree, but I mean, that could also be coach speak as well. But I guess that's what I'm saying is I agree why I'm confused too while we haven't seen it. And that's why I keep going to the conclusion of, I guess, we don't know what happens behind closed doors. So it's weird. It's a weird situation. But my guess is where we are at this point, we probably will see him.
Chip Scott says he's talking about Rich Rodriguez also went 3-8 his first time as head coach. He does seem to start off slow wherever he goes and build. So maybe that gives us some hope, Rush, for the future.
I agree. That's why there's money we didn't spend fully on this last season. I mean, every time Rich Rod talks to Tony or whatever show he's on, he's very hopeful and very I'll say promising with what expectations we should hold to him. And I mean, if he's talking about national championship contention in the next couple of years, I mean, we got to hold it to him. And clearly he feels confident about where he'll be at West Virginia. So like I said, I want it. I hope it really bad, but it's something that next year we're going to have to see very soon.
Last thought, Rush. You mentioned earlier that Rich Rodriguez does still look fiery on the sidelines, which I guess is a good thing. I do wonder, though, these players, how do they feel getting screamed at, getting cussed at on the sidelines? I do wonder, is that a beneficial thing for players today who are making money, who could go anywhere that they want? They don't have to wait a year to transfer. Is that really good coaching? Is that a positive thing in this environment?
So I think there's a fine line with it. Fiery is a good thing. Being an a-hole is another thing. And so like I've talked about with the Max Brown situation, at the end of the day, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. So if Rich Rod, we see him go crazy on TV, that sort of thing. But, in these practices is pulling players aside and being like, I just got to be on you. I love you. I care about you. This is why I do these things. And the players do believe that messaging, then you'll be all right. Right. But if he's just yelling to yell and just comes across as just that grumpy old man, then yes, we are in trouble. And there's clearly a line with those two things. I'd like to think that he's still on the fiery side and he cares, and that's why he yells and he's trying to get things right. But I mean, something like that we'll be able to tell sooner rather than later, because while I do expect a lot of this team to be in the portal for one reason or another, we'll see the kind of guys he brings in, because word among players spreads. These guys have either played together in high school, they know someone that's played with someone. And when you're in the transfer portal and transferring a lot, guys talk, right? And so we'll see the type of player he's able to bring in the transfer portal cycle. And that'll tell us which side of the line he's on there. So we'll find out here in the next couple months.
Yeah, good point. And it does look like on the sidelines that he's just being an a-hole. But I think you're right that, maybe he is approaching these players in a different way on the sideline or in practice. Rush, it was incredibly disappointing game today. I know you and I both had high hopes that the Mountaineers would get the win. I know everybody in Mountaineer Nation did today. I think we just need to be patient, and it will get turned around. And bright news, Rush, today, the Mountaineer basketball team beat Maryland Terrapins today, 92-73, and that's a super secret scrimmage game. So that's a major positive, right?
Absolutely. Got to be optimistic. Give us something to hope for. So I've always said this. Obviously, football comes first in the day and age of the sports world, I guess. But I always believe that West Virginia is a school with a basketball spirit, like with the Jerry West and all the greats that we've had here. So that'll definitely give us something to be hopeful for. And, like I said, I think we turn things around for football next year. And I mean, hey, best of all, at least we beat Pitt. So we can say that.
Yeah. One last comment before we go. Sven over on X says this team has absolutely no leader on offense, no leader on defense, somebody on the field that needs to step up and lead. I think that's a really fair point. Who is our leader right now? I have no clue. I know Nico Markiel was at the beginning of the year, but who is the leader of the team right now? Do we even know?
I don't know. Preston Fox on special teams because he's been here forever, I guess. I guess he just go by seniority. So yeah, that'd be my guess.
Yeah. All right, Rush. 45-13 blowout loss in Orlando against UCF. Any final thoughts, Rush, before we go?
Let's go basketball.
Let's go basketball. Exactly. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of the weekend. If you can, let's go Mountaineers.
So Morgantown, we break it first. WVU pride, we quench your thirst. No spin, all truth, loud and proud. Mountaineer Nation, say it loud. The Voice of Morgantown. VOM, Mountaineer pride, we go all in. First to the facts, last to the spin. It's the Voice of Morgantown. Voice of Morgantown.